Hello there! I hope that you have been having a fabulous day so far. Today in Dragon City, we are going to be going through the brand new Assassi-nation grid event and the new Grid Island event that is out. Because there are a few different things that you can do in these events, and things that you want to avoid, or things that you'll really want to focus on when you're going through these brand new events. Of course, as usual with these grid events, we've got some reward dragons that we can get our hands on, such as Serial Killer, or we've also got this guy here, the Forest Servant Dragon, all the way up to the new Fast Feline Dragon. And sometimes in these grid events, these final new legendaries aren't really obtainable unless you're watching all the ads and maybe you get a little bit lucky. But in these grid events in particular, you have a couple of choices for things that you want to go for. Either you can exclusively try and get your hands on one of these, or all of these new dragons in this grid event, or the other thing that a lot of players are going to be doing is going to be focusing on the event collection items. And this is something that you're going to want to decide as you're playing this event or at the end of the event, because one good thing that you can do in this event is save up all of your currency until the very end of the event, and then make your choices right at the end based on how much currency you've got from this event. And at the same time, we've also got the puzzle event, which has some reward dragons. I've already picked up one of the reward dragons here, but we've also got the brand new Silent Slay dragon available in this event. And in this, you're more or less, if you do manage to unlock Silent Slay, you're going to get most of the other equal rewards, but there is still some focus that you can put on the puzzle event to focus, say, on the dragons, or if you want to go for another assassin assignment chest. And so these are key parts of these events that you'll want to get your head around, especially if you're a new player. And the reason I mentioned these event items is because we've got the Assassi-nation event ongoing along with the actual collection event. And so in this you'll see that we can get different rewards based on the event items that we pick up. So this one, for example, is the Royal Request, which is in the event. And if we pick up one of these, we will get this reward on the right, which would be trade essence of some degree. Then for the second one, which in this we can get basically some habitat tokens, but we also get a guaranteed 20 legendary orbs. And for someone like me that's really after legendary and heroic orbs right now, this is very tempting. And this one's very, very doable. You can see that we'll need one of these event items, the Royal Requests. We will need some rookie contracts, which we'll need 5 of those. And then we'll also need 2 professional contracts. And so there are different event collection items that you'll have to pick up. And the way that you can get each of these is, of course, from the events. But if we look inside the event chest, for example, we have the Assassin Assignment chest. And if we look in these, we've got the chance of either getting a rookie contract or a professional contract, which means that we could get either one of these out of these chests that we open up. So it is RNG as to what we're going to get. So with these event collections, it can be very random as to how well you do in these, which kind of sucks. The tokens don't matter too much, but then we've got this one here, which is Professional Mission, which has a VIP chest in it, which has these dragons available, you know, as usual out of the VIP chests, which are good to pick up. But we've also got in here a health perk and some heroic trade essence, which is very useful if you are a newer player looking to trade some heroic stuff. But the really good one is going to be this one right here, because in this collection chest, we do have a Phoenix perk and a damage perk, and then we can get any 2 of the other things in here, which it could be a lot of orbs. But basically, we're guaranteed the 2 damage perks, and then we could get 2 rewards out of the rest, which could be at minimum 60 Heroic Joker Orbs, or all the way up to 320 Jokers, which is absolutely nuts. This would be an insane collection to be able to pick up, especially the newer you are as a player. But considering that we'll need 20 rookie contracts and 10 professional contracts, this is not going to be an easy one. Realistically, if you want to get this, you can't be missing any event resets. You'll need to do really, really well in every single event in the next 10 days. You might even have to be gemming some of them to get the the chests opened and hope for some good RNG on the contract drops. The one below this, it is the major unlockable rewards, so all of the dragon orbs. This one isn't going to be doable with free to play. You will have to gem for this one. The question is, how doable is the Royal Termination collection? Because again, these rewards are insane. Getting 320 orbs just like that would be nuts. So that is a really integral part of this event that you'll need to get your head around when you're playing these events. But in terms of the actual events themselves, that's why you need to pick. Are you going to be going for, say, the dragons? Are you going to be going all the way to the end for that end dragon? Or are you instead going to pave the path to picking up all of these chests, all of these contracts? Like, we've got a royal request there, we've just got chests everywhere else. I don't know if we've got any more contracts or anything else. It doesn't look like it on our path around here. It looks like the next one's actually all the way out here, which you're not going to be getting. So apart from that, we're just going to be opening up the rest of the event chests, and that's probably what I'm going to go for. Although, you know, at the same time, this assassin dragon is very, very nice. A very, very nice looking dragon, but they'll probably be back again at some other point. And so if you're ever wondering how you can pick out the cheapest paths in this event, because if you're going for the event items, it's not really going to matter as much because you're not going to be going for the most optimal paths for the event. But if you do just want to exclusively go for the event dragons, although the websites aren't always completely accurate, they do give you a very good idea of which paths are going to be the cheapest. For example, we've got Ditlep here, who has the maps for everything, essentially the costs of each chest, and you can essentially map out the route that you want to go down. And even if you don't want to use their build your route section, you could just use a calculator to work out which way is the cheapest. And the way that you're going to work this out is, say, in this event here, we can either go up, for example, to get to Serial Killer, or from this blue common orb chest, we can go south and up. But which one of those pathways is going to be the cheapest? Generally, they're not very different. But if we click to build our route here, the only chests that we're going to want to check are the non-shared chests. So, for example, if we went north, we would go through these chests here, and at the bottom it shows a total cost of 555. So if we went the northern route, that's how much it would cost us to go up that way. But if we clear all of this and reload, if we went south instead through all of the non-shared paths, then we would go through this. Actually, we'd take off the last one because we don't want to include that one because that is actually a shared path chest. So it would just be these ones here. And they come to 515 total, which is actually cheaper, which means it's cheaper to go south than it is to go north. But of course, if you go north, there's also a lucky legendary chest on your way up there. So there's lots of pros and cons to going down particular pathways in the grid event. And while we could sit here and, you know, think of all the different ways that we could min-max, realistically, this event mainly just comes down to what do you want to pick up? Pick the things that you want to pick up. Do you really value opening up these lucky chests? If you do, you might want to take the slightly more expensive option and go that way just in case. But it definitely is an event where you'll have to pick your focus if you want to get the best chance of something useful. Like these blue chests, they don't pay out very often. There is the chance to get lots of grid coins, lots of heroic joker orbs, prideful vampire, which is of course a very good dragon, but the chance is incredibly low. If you want to go for something that's still going to be RNG, but guaranteed if you get enough of them, it might be worth going for the event items. Otherwise, if you just really, really want that fast feline, you're just going to be having to make sure that you're going down the cheapest paths on your way through. And of course, on top of that, the way that you actually get currency from this event is the same as the other 8-hour reset events. If you've got a reset that you haven't collected all the points from, just pick a level 1 dragon and feed it up, and then you'll get all of the event currency from that reset. It's seriously that simple. So that is more or less everything that you need to know about the grid events. There's no real other secret strats with this event apart from those things. But then Puzzle Island, one thing about this that I haven't mentioned yet is that we do actually get grid coins in this event, which means that if you do really well in the puzzle event, you can actually also help yourself in the grid event as well. And this is really integral to getting as many rewards as you possibly can out of the other event. Because if you want to go as far as you can, pick up as many items as you want in Assassi-nation, you're going to have to do as well as you can in the puzzle event as well to get yourself these grid coins. So really, you're going to have to be playing both of these events really, really hard if you want to have a good shot at the collection. And at the same time, we've also got grid coins available in Dragon TV. Definitely go to pick these up. There's also the chance of up to 1,000 gems in the chest. But again, very, very low odds, but definitely worth picking up these. And again, you'll need to be picking up everything that you possibly can in these events if you want anything good. Now, in terms of the puzzle event itself, puzzle event doesn't work on the 8-hour resets, it works on these quests here. And it's very different from a lot of the other events in the sense that you can actually just play your way through this entire event like as fast as you want, in theory. If you have the gems to skip or you can complete the quests at the time, you can basically do like 100 quests immediately in this. But like at the moment, I'm still waiting a few more minutes to be able to hatch my dark and ice dragons that I've bred. And we do have one that we can do, which is winning league battles, which is going to be a quest that is going to be very difficult for a lot of players. But it's pretty simple in the sense that all that you have to do is go and win a league battle for this one. But as you get further into these quests, they will get gradually harder. And what I mean by that is you'll have to do more of the same quest in order to get the puzzle moves. And that's how the event operates, just off of these puzzle moves. And so then you'll have to spend your puzzle moves to essentially play Candy Crush to then get your hands on dragons or event items. But we can close that since we did our one league battle that we need, we can claim that. And then the next one that we've got is winning battles in arenas. And this puzzle event is the only reason why it's actually suggested to not do your quest battles in this game unless you have to, because during the puzzle event you will have to do quest battles, and if you've gone all the way through all of your quests, you're not going to have any extra quests to do. So that is a reason why people actually stop doing their quests later on, just so that they can save them for this particular event. But let's quickly do our arena fight here, so that we can dab on these enemies at the same time and then get back to... No! Look at that HP! No! You can't do that to me! Oh, why? Why? Tragic. Absolutely tragic moment there. But yeah, the puzzle events in particular I do really like, because rather than being reliant on resets like we would in our everyday life, sometimes people get busy, you just can't make a particular reset for one reason or another. Maybe you are just too tired or too busy. Whereas with puzzle events, if you prepare in a certain way, and if you know which quests you need to skip for you, then you can make really easy work of this event. But it's also very complicated in the sense that they expect you to take a relatively long amount of time for some of the quests. The food quest is one in particular I don't like. And that is simply because you're going to have to put in long food timers if you want to be able to do these quests. And that means putting in like the 9-10 hour timer foods. And so for this reason, expect to not really be collecting much food as you normally would. And I'd say definitely save one farm per reset early on, because otherwise, you're not going to have enough food collected, and it does ramp up very, very quickly, as I'll show you in a moment. But now that we've gone through those, you'll see that we're actually back to winning league battles again. And this is the reason why you don't want to do more league battles, or more arena battles, or more quest battles than you need to. Because it's going to come back around again. And if you say just did 3 more league battles there, then you're not going to be able to do the next set of questing. And then you'd have to wait another X amount of hours until your league battles reset came back. So this event is very much about taking your time and not using more than you need to. If that makes sense. Like not using or not collecting more food from your farms than you need to, not doing more battles than you need to, that sort of thing. And again, we've done one of these, so it's going to add 1 to the league battles count. So we go back, we do another league battle, we come back, and then we can collect some more puzzle moves. The more complicated one in this is, of course, going to be the breeding quest. Well, there's actually 2 breeding quests that you can get the puzzle moves from. And one of them gives a lot more puzzle moves than the other, but it's also more difficult to complete because, like, straight away you'll have to breed 3 dragons of a certain element type. But the thing is, when you've played one of these events before, you'll actually see that pretty much every single event going forward has the exact same requirements. They just copy and paste the same quests for every single one of these puzzle events, so the more of these puzzle events you've done in the past, you're gonna notice it's the same thing. So you know exactly what to expect. But there are still some websites that do actually show you these, so that if you ever get confused or you're not 100% sure what's coming up, you can still check. But again, more arena battles. So there we go, and we do more arena battles. And so early on, it can feel like there's a ton of gameplay, because again, you're just going in, going out, going in, going out, like tons of stuff to do. But that will change very quickly. Once you get a few resets worth of stuff done in this puzzle event, you'll see that you'll start having to wait another 6 hours or another 8 hours for food, because they typically will make it so that the quests are going to have the same wait timer as, say, a regular event, but they're just not going to make it an exact reset. It's going to be, you can gem it if you want to, so that you can get additional puzzle moves, but in this case we are just going to be doing them as they come in. Now, I do think it is sometimes definitely worth skipping some quests in this event, especially the breeding ones at times, if you've got other breeds that you can be doing, or say we're already in your breeding dens and you say forgot about the event or you mistimed it. Sometimes it can be worth skipping some of the breeding quests, but with the breeding quests, you're both going to have to breed and hatch dragons, so it's usually not worth skipping them very often. But we will get onto that in a moment once we've finished this beautiful arena battle. But this event is also a good reason why you shouldn't be throwing yourself into Master Arena or into really high tier arenas, because again, if you need to do 2-3 arena fights in a row, you're not going to be able to do that if you're in a really high tier. So no matter how many times I tell people, don't get too high in the arena unless you need to, which there's no real good reason to, just don't do it, because otherwise you will get stuck. So now we've gotten to this collect food quest, and it's not requiring a lot of food, it's 8,000, but I don't have any farms available, so I'm going to have to wait a couple of hours for that. I don't have Ramsey available at the moment. I will have him available for tomorrow. But the tower dragons in particular can be really useful if you mistime anything. At the moment, I've got my breeding and my hatching towers taken up though, because I was a bit greedy and I wanted to do more breeding and hatching in my spare time. So that's what I get. But you'll see that we've now hit 7 o'clock, which means that we can now collect some more event currency from the grid event, which, again, super easy to do, because all that we need to do is find, like, a level 1 dragon, like a guy Fernando. We just need to feed him up, and then we can go ahead and be sure that we have collected as much currency as we can from that reset. There you go, that's grid done for this reset. It is that simple and easy. So, that is grid done. Puzzle events won't actually change over the resets. The only thing that's sort of reset based are the free puzzle moves, which you do want to be logging in for and collecting, because it's +3, which isn't very many, but better than nothing, right? So we've got that one. And now with the food quest, what we could do in theory is we could skip this quest, and you'll say, skip to the next mission, this won't give you any puzzle moves, and then we could skip it to go on to the next iteration of this quest. So rather than winning quest battles, it's going to be the next quest type. For instance, or with the collect food, we'd skip that one to go on to the next quest type for that one. The only problem is, it is gonna just come back round full circle and give us another food quest and just a couple more quests that we complete. So is it really worth the gem skip? It's going to depend on the situation, to be honest. But these quests here, you'll see we've got hatch dragons with dark and ice. Previously to this one, it was breed dragons with dark and ice, and it's as simple as going over to your hatchery and throwing in a dark and an ice dragon. You'll see for the other quest, I have started on it, which is breeding together a sea and light dragon, which is going to be Archangel plus sea. But for that quest, the bottom quest is worth 25 puzzle moves, and you'll need to breed 3 sea and light dragons, which is obviously a lot of breeding to have to do. So, for this event, you'll want to have a lot of spare single element dragons. So, like, I've only got 1 Archangel dragon because I tended to skip this event, or that particular quest from this event, even though I shouldn't really. But that's just from recently, because I accidentally sold an old Archangel. But realistically, you should have as many single element commons like sea and light dragons to be able to do these quests in theory, but you're also going to have your breeding dens free to take advantage of that. And at the same time, you're also going to need to have your hatchery free to be able to take advantage of that. But you can see that Mr. Penguin is ready to be hatched, and we've got 2 of them. They're both ready to hatch. So what I will do is I will end up skipping these, and then we will be able to collect the bonus currency. So let's get on it. Oh, and with these hatch quests, please make sure that you do actually hatch the dragon, because until you actually place the dragon, you're going to see that there's no actual notification. You do actually have to hatch the dragon by placing it, and then you can get the puzzle moves free. Make sure you don't just hatch the dragon, but before you actually place it, end up selling it, because it will not count towards this. And so because we finished that one, we got plus 15 moves, and next up we've got breed an egg that has metal and dark. And again, very simple. All that we need to do is come over to one of our breeding dens, and we just double check metal plus dark. You don't have to do special breeds or anything else. All that you need to do is just throw in a metal, if it ever loads, a metal, and a dark dragon. And it goes without saying, but you'll definitely want to use unempowered and dragons that are not holding too many breeding perks while you're doing this, because you don't want to add more long timers to the breeding pool. But you'll see that when we breed these 2 together, we've got the chance of either breeding Deathly, which is a rare, or we've got the chance of breeding Zombie. We'd prefer to have Zombie be the outcome. And there we go, we got a short timer, so I'd be able to skip that now. And then we can start doing more breeding towards this. So we would do that, we'd hope for that same outcome again, skip the next breed, and then we've bred 2 of them, and then it's going to be hatch metal and dark dragons. So also at the same time, when you're breeding these dragons, make sure that you don't hatch one of the others before you finish the breeding quest. Because what can happen, especially if you're up to, say, this sea and light quest, is because there are long timers with this one, like you'll see that this one's at 13 hours and it's only like just under halfway done. What can happen is you'll breed 2 of these, but then the sea and light dragon that you bred will have finished hatching, or it'll finish its hatching time, and then it's possible to hatch it, but then you still needed to breed another one, and then you'll breed your 3rd, you'll get the quest done, but then you need to hatch 3 of them as well. So you don't want to be making that mistake. I've done it before. It is very infuriating. If you have, like, breeding 3 dragons, just make sure that you breed 3 of them first and then hatch 3 of them straight after. So you might need to, realistically, you need a free hatchery, a completely free hatchery, and you need 3 free breeding dens during this event as well. Puzzle is really, really intensive. If there's one event that's going to require you to change, like, all of your daily breeding, all of your daily grinding, it's not the heroic race, it's puzzle events. Because again, there's just so many different quests that you'll be doing, and the more that you can do, the quicker that you can do them, the better off you're going to be, really. But if you do want the list of different quests that the puzzle island has, again, they're in a few different places because they're just the same, they just keep repeating. But Ditlep does have the details of this as well, but you'll see that this is the first mission here, and if we click on this, it will show you all of this on the right. And although it might be confusing at first, this actually shows you what the upcoming quest is going to be. So, for instance, the first one was collect 50,000 gold. You do that, then you'll get feed 20,000 food. You finish that one, it moves on to complete one tournament quest. You finish that one, it moves on to 75,000 gold. So for where I'm at right now, I'm still at win 1 quest battle. So if we come back to Ditlep, where you've got a few of those where it's just win 1 tournament quest. And so we've got this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then after the 12th quest, it will move on to complete 2 tournament quests. So then you'll have to do 2 different quests at that time to finish off that. And that's when it starts to get very long. But at the moment, we could like finish this one, and then we know that the next quest is going to be collect 60,000 gold. Next one's going to be 25,000 food. So if you keep track of this in these websites, for example, if you can't remember them, you at least know what's coming up next, and you can prepare a little bit better. This one that we were doing earlier, collect 4,000 food, win 1 league battle, win 1 arena battle. Finish those, you get onto the next set. You'll see it repeats the same 3 quests over and over and over again, essentially, until you just have to do more and more and more of them. But it's slightly different with the breeding and how it works, because instead we've got breed 1 electric dragon, hatch 1 electric dragon, breed 1 water primal, hatch 1 water primal. So rather than it being in a set of 3 quests, it's actually in a set of 2 quests. But all that you have to do is breed the dragons of a certain element, hatch the dragons of a certain element. And we've got breed 3 war dragons, hatch 3 war dragons. But the furthest it goes up to is hatch 3 earth and war dragons, which still quite a lot of hatching. And then for plus 25, again, at the moment, we're at water plus light, and then we're going to hatch 3 water plus light dragons. Then the next set that we're going to be doing is breeding 4 plant and war dragons. And so, if we've got this event up here and say we're just about to hatch our second water and light dragon, and the third one's still breeding at the moment, then we know that we can start breeding in one of the other breeding dens, a plant and war dragon. So say we've got 2 of those eggs in the hatchery, the third one's currently breeding, then in the other 2 breeding dens, we can start doing the other breeding in advance. Obviously, it depends on how you're prioritizing, but that's why having 3 breeding dens available is really useful for this event, and you should really do it. Obviously, if you've got permanent 12-hour time skips, you're going to have a major advantage in this event for that reason, so I'm sorry to any of you that don't have that, or any that lost it after spending, but that is just the way that this event is. So it's a very complicated event, in the sense that there's a lot of things to be doing and a lot of things to be keeping in mind, but I would just say keep track of which quests you're up to. Always just go back in and check the quest rather than assuming that what you're doing is right or is part of a quest. And at the same time, don't be doing those league battles unless you have to. Because we've only got 1 combat here. Although what I'd like to do is get to that league battle quest as soon as possible to use this 1 energy. And then you can either wait it out, or you could gem it, in theory. It's up to whatever you want to do. But you don't want to be using more combats than you need, because then that's just going to be more gems cost at the end of the day. So I hope that generally speaking, that explains these 2 events. They are repeated events, they come every time. But, of course, at the moment, with us having such an insane collection, again, I'm not sure how doable this is. It's probably not very doable free to play unless you're gemming some of the events. But if you do manage to make it happen, maybe you get one of the big heroic orb drops, let me know, because that would be an insane pickup to get along with a Phoenix perk as well. But as long as we can get a VIP chest and I guess some heroic trade essence, could be worse, right? But I do wish you the best of luck in these 2 events, and if you do have any other questions, feel free to let me know, join the Discord server or anything. But, you know, the first couple of puzzle events, I will say, might be a little bit confusing, but after the first couple, generally, you'll pick it up quite easily because it's going to be the exact same as the previous event, just with some different reward items and different reward dragons. But Silent Slay, yeah, he's super cool. I like him.